Welcome back. Now today I'll be showing us how I draft my cupped shaped underbust corsets. Cupped shaped underbust corsets. That is exactly what I'm going to show us today. Okay, so to draft, I'll be needing this. Can you see? It's because we're making a cup shape. So we have, this is a under bra wire. It is called under bra wire. I have so many here. Can you see it? We have it in different sizes, and what you have it, different sizes and shape. If you try to check this, I think I have two different shape here. If you try to, can you see this one? But you can actually, bend it to whatever shape you want it. Can you see? So I have this one here, and I also have this one. Can you see the difference? This one comes like this, while this one gives me, can you see this semicircle shape? Can you see it? This one gives me semicircle shape. So this is what I'm having here. So you can make use of any. If you have this, all you have to do is to, just bend it like this and make sure you have something like this. You can as well use it like this. So I'm going to be using this one today. Now, the next thing I'll be needing my basic block, basic dartless block. Okay, I have my block here, which we actually drafted. I have the link under this video. Now, this is what I'm having here, and of course this is my basic block. This is the back block, which is the center back, and I have this one here, the center front. So I'll also be needing my tape measure. This is my tape measure. This is my pattern master, and of course I have my marker here and my paper scissors. Okay, so we're set to go. So because I have my basic, can you see it? Basic full bodice. This is a full bodice, full blouse bodice here. So I'll be needing some other measurements like shoulder to apex. That is from my shoulder to my nipple points, which is 10 inches. Then shoulder to underbust. That is from my shoulder to my underbust. And also bust distance, that is from one nipple to another. So you can see the measurements I'm having here. Now this is can you see this is the center front, which is the front block. The first thing I'll have to do, don't forget, for this type of block, because we're making underbust corset, we won't be needing this. So I'm just going to cancel this because I'm not going to be using seam allowance of 1.5. So I will just mark 1/2 inch instead of using 1.5. So I will go ahead and mark 1/2 inch. But before that, please, we still have to do some things there. So I will still leave it for now. Okay, so the first thing I have to do here, can you see it, is to I'm going to rule out shoulder to apex. Now, shoulder to apex, don't forget, when you're marking on a vertical line like this, when you're marking here, always add 1/2 inch for shoulder slope. So that will be 10 inches plus 1/2 will give me 10.5. Then 13 inches plus 1/2 will give me 13.5. That is for my shoulder because I'm still going to sew it. Now 10 inches, I'm measuring 10.5 here on a straight line, 10.5 on a straight line, 10.5 on a straight line. So that is 10.5 on a straight line. Then the next thing, which is underbust, my underbust measurement is actually 13.5, 13 inches. So for this very one, because depends on what you're actually drafting, if you want, because I want this to sit perfectly on my bust. I want it to sit perfectly on my bust, under my I want it to sit under my on the bust, sit there very well. So instead of using 13 inches, now if my shoulder to on the bust, can you see, is 13 inches, I'm going to minus 1, that is 12 inches. Whatever your underbust is, minus 1. So that is my new underbust, new UB for this very draft. So I'm going to be adding half inch to this 12 and half. So that will give me 12 and half. So can you see it? 12 and half instead of 13 and half. I deducted 1 because I wanted to sit directly under my bust. I mean under my bust. Yes, under my bust. Now, so this is my UB now. This is my under bust line. And this is my bust line. This is the chest line. Now, the next thing to do is to mark half inch from the center line. I'm going to be marking half inch. Just mark half inch. So I will roll it on a straight line, half inch. Let me see this half inch. So I'm going to roll this half inch on a straight line, just like this. Let me see it in a straight line. Okay, so after that, I have to, place this. Let me see it. I'm going to place this on the, can you see? I'm placing like this. I hope you can see it very well. So can you see it? I'm placing, this one should be straight. Can you see it? Just like that. Now I'm going to be using this to draft the curve, because this comes in form of my breast shape, just my under bust, just to trace out my bust, the under bust cycle there. Okay, so I have this. I'll just go ahead and trace out on my, can you see it? I'm tracing this out on the paper. So I have this. Can you see this? Okay, so that is what we're having there. Now, the next thing is I'm going to be adding half inch to this one. So from here to here, that's my half inch. You can see it, and I'll connect straight up. Then on this point here, I'm going to be adding half inch. That is my seam allowance. So that is it. Now on this half inch, just connect like this. Can we see it? I'm connecting like this. And I'm going to mark half inch round because I'm having my seam allowance here. So just mark half inch. Can you see it? We're marking half inch, half inch round. So I've marked my half inch round. Now if you don't have on the bra wire, you can actually use the compass to do this. All you have to do is to divide your bust distance, which is 7, divide by 2, and use it to curve here. That is 3.5. So from here, from this point, you mark 3.5, then you take it round like that. So it's very easy to do, but I prefer using this because by the time when we're sewing it, I'm going to actually attach this. It will make it to grab my breast. That is why I love using it. Okay, so now I have this. You can see I have this intact now. I have it intact now. Now the next thing is I'll be coming in by half inch here on this point. Can you see it on the hammer? I'll be coming in by half inch. So this half inch is for tightening. So I'm going to connect this directly to the waistline. Can you see it? Now on the waistline, you know we need same allowance of ½ inch. On the waistline, I'm just going to mark ½ inch here, and then ½ inch on the hemline, which is the blouse length. So I'm going to be connecting from this here, this point here, to this point here, and you know, to the hemline there. So can we see? That is for my, yes, that is my SA, same allowance. That is same allowance there. Now can we see that? So this is what we're having for the front. Okay, for this front here, I'm going to be marking before we go to the back. We don't really need it, but I have to mark it because I want to mark it at the back. So we will be marking the, what do you call it? We'll be marking 3½, which is the bust distance, but I don't draft it because I don't need it. There's nothing I'm going to do with it. Okay, just let me leave it like this. So I'll come to the back. This is the center back. Can you see? This is the center back. Now the next thing to do here, the first thing to do here is to mark my apex. Can you see? This is my apex. So this is my apex, which is 3½. Now I'm taking that of 1 inch. So that is for the dart allowance. And for this dart allowance, I'm going to be marking this 1 inch. I'm going to get the midpoint because that is actually the one we'll be rolling up on a straight line. So now on this ½ inch here, I'll place my tape measurement, and measure 5 inches upward and 5 inches downward. Can you see it? 5 inches upward and then 5 inches downward. Now I'm going to connect on a straight line. Can we see it from this point up to that point? Then connect my darts. Can we see it? I'm connecting my darts, and also connect my darts here. Connect my darts. Can you see it? That is my darts. The next thing now is to transfer this 1 inch to the side. So I have this 1 inch here. Can we see that? That is the 1 inch there. Now I'm going to grab my, okay, before doing that, I'm going to come in by ½ inch here. On this place, I'll be coming by ½ inch. So I went in by ½ inch. Now I'm going to connect from this point down to this place here, and using my curve to connect back to the hemline like so. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to be adding ½ inch same allowance. ½ inch same allowance. Okay, I have ½ inch here, so ½ inch like so, ½ inch here. Can you see it? And the ½ inch at the hemline. So I'll be connecting from this point now. Can you see it? For my seam allowance like that, and also come like this, seam allowance. Sorry, this is my seam allowance of a ½ inch there. Can we see it? So this is my seam allowance. I have my seam allowance for the front here. Okay, so after that, all I have to do is to come down. Okay, before I have to contour the back so that I won't have any excess here. Now to contour it, all I have to do is to divide whatever I'm having on this, from the shoulder to this chest line, whatever I'm having there, divided by 2. Can you see it? Divide it by 2 and mark. So after marking, I'm connecting straight up from this one, straight up. So don't forget the measurements from here to this straight line is 4 inches. So I'm going to grab my tape measure and mark this 4 inches here. So I'm connecting to that 4 inches. Can we see it? So I'm connecting straight up to that 4 inches, straight up to that 4 inches. Can you see that I've done a little tightening here? If you see this place. Now the next thing is to shape. So from here I'm coming down 1 inch from the chest line. I'm coming down 1 inch, and I'm going to be, you know, using my curve. Can you see it? I'm going to be using this my curve to connect. So all I have to do is to, because I don't like taking it down. When you take it down, it exposes your, what do you call it, the armpits. So I'm going to maintain this line. You can as well take it down. You can take, okay, let's take it down by ½ inch, but I love it, you know, sitting well like that. So let's say ½ inch, and then I have it ½ inch here. Can you see it? So I'm going to connect from this point. I'm connecting from this point to that ½ inch there. Can we see it? From this point to that to the 1 inch. This is my 1 inch, and this one comes in a straight line. Can you see it? And this one just like so. So that is what I'm having here, from this point here to this point here. So that is how I'm going to shape this. Now that we're done with this, we're already done with this, I will show us how to cut out. Okay, so before I cut out this, that I have to extend it to the hem line. Can you see it? I have to extend it like this so that I can open up the darts. After that, I can just, you know, cut out this. Sorry, another thing before I cut out is how long you want your underbust to be. It's very important to have to decide how long you want it to be, because from the picture we're following is not up to the hip length, please. So I have to shape this. So you can always decide where you want the shape to be. For me, I'm going to be marking 2 inches from here. So 2 inches plus my ½ inch allowance, that is the seam allowance. That will give me 2½, and I'm marking 2½ there. Then here, I'm going to come down like 4 inches to give it a little shape there. So all I have to do is to connect from this point there. Can we see it? Connect from that point there to this here. Can you see it? Then just connect like so. Okay, for the front, I will do the same thing. There's a 2½, that is 2 inches. Can you see it? Plus ½ inch. 2 inches plus ½ inch, let's say. Then come down by 4 inches here at the center front. So I'm going to, can you see it? Shape it like that. So if you don't want yours to come like this, you can actually decide how you want the shape to be, or you can use the waist measurement. All depends on you, but this very one, I'm going to shape it like this. Now I can cut out. So I'm cutting like this. Can you see it? Don't forget ½ inch seam allowance. Okay, So now we don't need this part again. I'm going to come like this. Sorry, I'm coming like this. And it says, okay, we have this, and here I'm also going to come like this. Don't forget we have seam allowance there. And for this one, I'm coming, sorry, this half inch I have to connect. Yeah. So I'm coming like this. And here. I hope you can see this. I'm coming like this. Okay. Now from this point here, don't forget we went up by ½ inch. So from that point there, I'm going to, shape out, because we're making a cupped shaped underbust. Okay, now we can see what we're having here. So this is the center back and this is the center front. Now here I have to make style lines, but this one I will just use my fabric to cover it. You can as well open it if you like, all depends on you. But for this very tutorial, I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to kind of, can you see it? This is another style line. I hope it's not too long. Yes, you can measure it out. We're still going to do this on the fabric. Okay, so I have like 3 lines there. If you like, you can just cut it out, but for me, I'm not going to cut out. I'm going to be using first method of style lines. Okay, for this back, the dart line, I have to cut out the darts. Can you see it? I have to cut out these darts. Okay, there's a CB1 and this CB2. Can you see it? So okay, so this is my center back and this is my side back. Then this is my side front and this is my center front. Okay, so I have this for this cut out already. Now for my, what do you call it, to make, we can actually use loop for this one. We can use loop. We're actually going to use loop. So for my loop, I'm going to be marking here. For my loop, I'm going to be marking, depends on you. You can actually use 2 inches, you can use 1.5. So for this one, for this very one, I'm using 1.5, or should I use 2 inches? Okay, so for this one, I'll be using 2 inches here. And whenever you're doing this, whatever you have here, half of it is what you're going to be marking here. So I'm going to be marking 1 inch here. Can you see it? So I use 2 inches there and then 1 inch here. Now I'm going to cut this away. Can you see this? So this is a CB1 and this is for loop. Loop and rope, loops and rope. So I'm going to be cutting this away. So this is what we're having left. And now I have to add half inch to this line, and the half inch to this line on my fabric, half inch to this line. Can you see it? Half inch, half inch, half inch, half, so that I won't forget. So this is what we are having now. Can you see it? That is what we're having now. Okay, so this is what we're having now. Okay, watch out for the sewing parts. Okay, so you have to wait for this. Very soon I'll be posting the sewing part. So if you want me to sew it, please comment. Let me hear you. I will be at the comment section. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you. See you next time.